everyone. Welcome back to the All Things Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, Tay, and I am back with another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh my gosh, this past week has been a lot. So much fun, work, overwhelmingness. Is that a word? Overwhelmingness? We're going to make it a word. But yes, I'm back with another episode. So, this episode is going to be about my road trip that I took from Texas to Virginia. Such a long drive. It was 20 something hours. Had some stops in between. We're going to get into that. The highlight of this trip was New Orleans. Like, New Orleans was lit. New Orleans was so fun. So, that's going to be the highlight of like the whole road trip of our stops. Um, so yeah, but before I get into that, like I said, welcome back. I am in DC now. I'm in my new apartment. Sorry if it sounds kind of echoey. I'm in my bedroom where there's carpet. There's not carpet in the living room, so it was way more echoey out there. But yeah, I'm still waiting on my furniture. A couple more days, it'll be here. But I just wanted to get an episode out for you guys, so I can give you all the tea on the road trip that we took. But before I get into that, like I said, in DC, I've done a little bit of exploring, not a lot. Yesterday, I went to Old Town. So if you're in the DMV area, Old Town, and I was just there. I was exploring, walking around, and I came across this restaurant called Hen Quarter. I think that's what it was called, Hen Quarter in Old Town. So good. I got like a chicken and waffle situation. Like it was fried chicken in the middle, and it was like a sandwich. It was fried chicken in the middle, waffle on both sides, and then they serve syrup with it. But I didn't use the syrup because it was already sweet enough with the waffle. And along with the chicken in the middle, they had corn and gravy. So good. Like I thought, corn kind of weird with waffle and stuff, but with the gravy, it just set it off. So that was so good. I love to eat. I'm a foodie. So yes, I will have all the restaurant recommendations. Okay. But yeah, so I just had a good day yesterday. Today, I've been chilling for the most part. Gonna get up, go to the gym later. Probably get me a green juice. I've been trying to get some more greens in because, yeah, like greens, they're healthy for you. I'm the type of person to drink my greens instead of eat them. When it comes to vegetables, the main ones I eat are like green beans, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts here and there, but mostly broccoli. Like that's my go-to. But if I want to get some real greens in, like a whole bunch of greens, like when it comes to chard and kale and all that kind of stuff, I need a green juice because I just rather drink it, get it over with. I can drink it fast, and that's just it. It'll be over for the day. That's my serving. That'll be my serving for the day. So yeah. So that's the plan today. Gym and green juice, and then make some dinner and just chill. It is pre St. Patrick's Day that I'm recording this. So yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day because I'll probably upload this on St. Patrick's Day on Thursday. So yes, happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. Okay, so since this episode is pretty much like a story time of my trip, I'm just gonna go ahead and get into the question and poll of the week. Okay, so this past week I did two polls. I didn't do a question, I just did two polls. And the first one was, have you ever done a 20 plus hour drive, like road trip kind of vibe? And majority of everyone said yes. Of course, I say yes now because I just did that drive. But before that, I have never done one. The farthest I've done on a road trip was about 10 hours from Virginia to Pennsylvania, and that's with like traffic and everything. But that's like the longest. Maybe it probably wasn't 10. I want to go for like maybe 9, 8.5, 9 hours. But I feel like it probably went up to 10 because of traffic. But yeah, so it's a yes for me on that one now. And then another one was, do you feel like a third wheel when hanging out with couples? And majority of everyone said no. I feel the same way. No, I don't, because especially if like the people are fun and it's just it's just a vibe. Like I've never been the type to feel like a third wheel, feel left out, unless they're like not vibing, they're not fun, they're not, you know what I'm saying? But like most of the time, like when I hang out with couples, like we're all having fun, we're all having a good time. It's not no feeling left out kind of thing. So yeah, it's a no for me on that one, and everybody else said no. So yeah, I upload, like I said, the questions and the polls on my stories on Instagram at Shaytay. My Instagram is linked in the show notes always, so follow me on there. And thank you so much for everyone that participates in my polls and my questions. I love it. Like just keep it up, keep it coming with me. Love it. So yeah, those are the polls this week, and let's just get into let's just get into the trip because this trip was so much fun. Okay, so I know when you think of 20 something hours, you're thinking dreading it, driving, it's long. But once you cut it up and you make those stops at those places, it turns into like, oh my God, dreadful driving hours and hours and hours to, okay, we're driving, but we have something to look forward to. We're going to stop here, have fun here, and that was the vibe of our trip. So it was me, my sister, and her boyfriend, and we stopped in Houston, New Orleans, and Atlanta, and then our last stop was Virginia. So first of all, Houston was so much fun. We had very little time in Houston, but we had a ball. We went to Camp Houston, and everything about Camp Houston, and that's camp with a K, so fun. And they had good food, they had good drinks, music popping, and then they have like an indoor and an outdoor kind of vibe. So, and they play different music. So like inside they had like this kind of music going, and outside they had a different music going, like different songs. It was so fun at camp, and the food was so good. So we got brunch there. When we ate there, we got brunch, and I got oxtail and grits, so good. And then my sister, I think she got like a traditional like breakfast, like with eggs and bacon and stuff. I'm not completely sure, but I think so. And I do remember her getting avocado toast. That was good too. It had, the avocado, the eggs, it had tomato, had onion, the seasonings. It was a lot. I think it had cheese on it too. It was a lot on it, but it was good. And her boyfriend, he got the oxtail and grits too. The oxtails were nice and big because I've had sometimes where like oxtails were like small, and I'm like, that's not oxtail. But the oxtails that they served there at camp were nice and big and juicy, so good, and it went so good with the grits. So yeah, that was the only restaurant we were able to go to in Atlanta because it was not Atlanta, sorry, in Houston because we had such little time there. And then we made our way from Houston. Oh yeah, before I leave Houston, the one thing I wanted to say is the traffic is crazy. So like when I was going to Houston to the airport to pick them up, my sister and her boyfriend, I was in line for an hour plus. Like I was past like entering the airport. I'm like on the way to pick them up from the gate, from their not the gate, the baggage claim. But I was stuck in traffic for an hour. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. And it was so annoying because it was literally like we were moving like so slow. So that was the most annoying part about it. And then of course, like Houston is so big. Like Houston's huge. So and it's so many people, the traffic. And I'm a very like cautious driver, kind of paranoid because of my accident a couple years ago, but mostly cautious. Um so I'm not like a aggressive driver, like weaving in and out of traffic, going into this lane, going into that lane. No, I stay in one lane, and it is what it is, and I just get where I need to go. That's it. That was Houston, and then we made our way to New Orleans. Like I said, this whole trip, like the New Orleans was a vibe. So to started off kind of sour because we get to a hotel that we booked called the Blake Hotel. Just for future reference, do not book there. So on the website, it looks charming, it looks cute, it's not like your traditional hotel, but it looked charming and cute on the website. Like it looks like a charming, how many times can I say charming? But it looks like a New Orleans type of hotel. So and I thought it was cool, so I booked it. And plus they didn't have like no bookings when I was calling around trying to book stuff. And I didn't know if it's because like Mardi Gras was happening but Mardi Gras I don't think was happening. we were thinking about it, but I don't think it was happening. So that's what I was thinking, but I don't think Mardi Gras was jumping off then when we went. I think it just had ended. Okay, so we go in the hotel. At first, I'm like, okay, the lobby was cute. And then we get to the hotel, we're checking in, and then we get on the elevator. The elevator was small, it was dark. It reminded me of a scary movie. Very suspect. Very sus, okay? We get off the elevator. Like I said, super small. The hallway is dark, and we take a right to our room. In our room, I literally think our room number was 666. If I'm not mistaken, I think the room number was 666. It was so weird. Um, it was a triple number. Was it 666 or 999? It was one of those, and it was just weird, like one of those coincidental things. And we go in the room. First of all, the room smelled bad. Like it smelled like somebody had their pet in there, and the pet didn't have a bath, and then it was just it smelled so bad, and then it was hair like in the bathroom on the toilet. Like, it was gross. And then like before going into the room, I already had in my mind, I'm not staying here. Because the elevator turned me off, and I was like, I'm not staying here. So before we get into the room, that's what's going through my brain. Oh yeah, and then at first the room key wasn't even working, so we had to like really push on the door to get in the room. And I'm like, oh my god, all these signs do not stay here. And side note, I'm a signs person. Like if something happens, like especially 2 or 3 things in a row, I'm like, that's it, this is not meant to be. That's just how I am. But so like I said, we get in the room stinks. It's hair in the bathroom, and then I look over on the bed sheets, there's a stain on the bed, like a stain. And these are white sheets. So there's a stain there, and I'm like, yeah, no. My sister calls. I'm like, tell them we're not staying here. Like, we need a refund, because hotels are kind of finicky when it comes to refunds. But no, the girl at the front desk, she was like, okay, that's fine. Like, she didn't argue with us or nothing. Like, and at first my sister was like, do you have like a better room? And I told my sister, like, no. I was shaking my head, no, we're not staying here. this is not happening. So then my sister was like, yeah, let's just get a refund, because this is not up to, it's just not up to standards. Like, it's not up to par for us. Like, it was just dirty, it was stinky, it was just not getting it. Yeah, we get downstairs, we give the room keys back, like, thank you, we're gonna find somewhere else, blah blah blah. And then I'm asking, because they had valet at this they had valet at this hotel, because where the hotel was, it was like more so like downtown, so it was valet pretty much everywhere. And I'm asking for my key, and she's acting like she couldn't find my car key. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is not happening. I literally just gave you my key 10-20 minutes ago. Like, it has not been that long since we left this lobby. And she's calling the valet guy like, hey, blah blah, do you have this key? And so how your key is on your keychain, they detached my key from the keychain and had it separated. It was weird. And I was like, okay, that was kind of weird. And it was just everything happening, and we were like, yeah, we're not staying here. So we ended up finding a Residence Inn, which was so much nicer. It had like a little kitchenette and everything in there. It was so nice. So step up. It was definitely a step up from where we came from, because bruh, like, I was sitting there like, this is not happening. What you call like the peak and pit, that was definitely the pit of New Orleans, but we have so many more peaks. So get to New Orleans, we're like, after the hotel situation, I'm annoyed, but we get to the hotel, I'm back in good spirits, and we're starving. So we go to this restaurant called Marrow's. I can't believe if it's called Marrow's or Marrow's. I think it's pronounced Marrow's. And most of all the restaurants we found on the trip, like the restaurants here, I found on TikTok. I get on TikTok for the restaurants because they be having all of them on there. We sat at the bar. Big shout out to Carly, our bartender there. She was so nice. I'm sure she's not listening to this, but she was so nice, so cool, so attentive, made good drinks, like just a whole vibe. And literally, I can literally say this, best bartender I've ever had. Hands down. Like, she was so cool. So yeah, let's get into the food at Maro's. So the appetizer I got were oysters, but they were like I think they're called charbroiled on a grill. So like they were really hot. Like it's hard to explain, but yeah, they were like charbroiled oysters, and they were so good. And then for my entree, I got it was called the redfish. Yeah, I still don't know what kind of fish it was. Like it was redfish. And then for my side, I think I got mashed potatoes and a veggie. I can't remember my exact sides I got, but it was so good. Like 10 out of 10. My sister got salmon. She said that was good, and her boyfriend got the redfish as well. He loved it. It was just so good. Good food, good drinks. Definitely recommend Maro's if you're in New Orleans. Food is fire. And then while we were there, my sister's boyfriend, he got cool with this couple that were sitting next to us. So we were all talking, chopping it up. Like they were so cool. A couple from New York. Shout out to Sachi and Dapo. They were just so fun, so cool. So, we were drinking or whatever, had a couple shots, and it was cool. So then we leave Maro's, and then we go back to the room or whatever, freshen up, and then we go back out and we go to Bourbon Street. Now, if you've been to Bourbon Street, you know what I'm about to say. This is my first time at Bourbon, so I was like, this is my first time in New Orleans, period. So I'm like, I want to go to Bourbon. You think of New Orleans, you think of Bourbon, like, and I'm like, I want to experience Bourbon Street. Anybody that's been to New Orleans, they're going to be like, yeah, no, Bourbon Street is no. Bourbon Street is dirty. It's stinky. It's not it's not fun. Maybe for really, really, really drunk, it'll be fun. We weren't drunk on Bourbon, so we were just like pretty much just walking Bourbon, trying to experience it. And it was just not it. Bourbon, yeah, no. It's just a no. But I can say that I've experienced Bourbon Street, which was, yeah, it was an experience. That's all I can say. Probably won't go back when I go to New Orleans again, but it was an experience. And then it got to the point, it was so late. We walked around for 2 to 3 hours trying to find food. And it was so weird. I'm like, how do they not have open restaurants around Bourbon? And it's so big in that area. IHOP was not opening. Little side diners were not open. They were closed. I'm like, yeah, it's like 2 a.m, but this is the time where usually people are open. They make the money because everybody's been out drinking. They're ready to eat, and we could not find any. We were like on Google, like restaurants near me, blah, blah, blah. Like we were about to find like a Uber somewhere. Like it was so bad. And then it was one last hope. I wish my sister and her boyfriend were here to say this part of the story. But it was this one last restaurant named Crystals. And we're like walking. We're like, yeah, Crystals is open. They got burgers and all this stuff. I'm looking at the pictures online. I'm like, yes. We're walking towards Crystals. And as soon as we don't get all the way up to the door, but we get close enough to we can see a closed sign. Closed. And the Crystals... I'm weak because it was my sister's boyfriend. His reaction was everything. It had me cracking up. The crystal sign of the diner was lit up like it was open, but it had a big old closed sign, and he was so heartbroken. He was like, man, because we were walking around forever trying to find it, and I was cracking up. His reaction was so funny. He was so upset. Literally, we went to CVS. My sister got cereal and milk. Like, that's how hungry we were. And it was just bad. It was so funny though. We walked so much, like my feet were on fire because I had on like sandals, like flat sandals. Feet were hurting. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just ready to go to bed at this point. But yeah, that was so funny. That was our Bourbon night experience. It was crazy, but it was funny. So the next day we wake up in New Orleans still, and we go to brunch at this place I think it's called The Nice Guy. It's either called The Nice Guy or Nice Guys, one of those. But it was so fun and good. Like the vibe was everything. DJ was everything. The food and drinks, 10 out of 10. I got a traditional breakfast. I got French toast, eggs, hash browns. Or no, it was just like little potatoes, not hash browns. and fruit, a side of fruit. I didn't like the French toast because it was like too sweet. You know how like French toast is already sweet when you do your thing on it, but it's like they put, I think it was like they put too much. I think it was nutmeg on the top. I think they put too much nutmeg and it just made it way too sweet. But my sister, I think she had got like, did she get like a crab cake kind of thing? It was so good. I cannot remember what she got. Oh, it was like a crab cake omelet. I think that's what it's called. I'm gonna have to ask her again, but I think it was called it was some kind of omelet, and I really think it was a crab cake. It was so good. She let me taste it, and saw she had got. I think she got. I know she got fried chicken. I can't remember if she got chicken and waffles, or if she's got fried chicken and a side or whatever. I can't remember what Calvin and Doppo got, but they said their food was good too. So 10 out of 10 for the food, and then it was this lady's birthday there at the restaurant. So we're like, we're jamming to the music or whatever. Then all you see is like a whole line band come in the restaurant. And I'm like, okay, like they got a band, like, yes. And, and we're like, does this happen every time? But she brought it in for her birthday. She brought a whole band in the restaurant for her birthday. And they performed. Let me tell you, they got the big instruments. They had a full-blown performance. And it was so funny. It was so cute. And it was lit. Like, New Orleans is lit. And then after the band left, like I said, the DJ was lit himself. Like, it was one of those DJs where it's like, I can't even sit down and eat. Like, you want to get up and start dancing because he jamming. Like, DJ fire. Like, we would take the DJ to another party because he was jamming. But it was so fun. Okay, so if you know me, you know I love Dwayne Carter, a.k.a. Lil Wayne. He's my husband, love of my life, my everything. I just love it. I just love him, okay? So Lil Wayne is from New Orleans. And I'm asking my sister, I'm like, can we drive past Holly Grove, like, just to see, like, what it's like? And Holly Grove is where Lil Wayne grew up. That's the neighborhood he's from. We put in Holly Grove in the GPS, so we're driving to it, and we finally reach there. Holly Grove is the street sign, and we just drive down the street. The streets were a little rocky. It was bumpy. It was cool to ride through the neighborhood of where he grew up. So that was fun. I had the Carter 3 blasting, like, not blasting because we were in a neighborhood, wouldn't be rude, but I had the Carter 3 playing, we had our windows down. It was fun. So that was just nice because I love him, and it was just nice seeing where he grew up, like the neighborhood. I did not know the exact house. I was like, next time I'm gonna do some research and find out the house, if it's still there. Next time I go to New Orleans, I need to see the exact house because I probably rode past it and didn't even know. So that'll be my next thing I try to figure out. I'm such a fan. But it is what it is. I love him, period. Later on, we met back up with Sachi and Dapo at the Louis Armstrong Park. And it was so cool because first of all, so much history there at the park. It was a Sunday thing. So on Sundays, the slaves, they would like do singing and dancing and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it was set up in the park. Like in the park, they had like African dancing, and they were teaching the African language and the cultures and just so many different things when it came to it. They had vendors where they sold the jewelry, and then they had some where they had like different kind of drinks and outfits. This one man, he had like this butter. It's mango and coconut butter. It was so good. It felt so good on your skin. Oh my god, I got like a little tub of it, but I'm gonna need that in rotation. I think we got his Instagram because he said he like ships it. I'm gonna need that in rotation because it feels so good and smells so good. And then I got some sage. So I'm not a sage person. I've never done sage, but Sachi was telling me like how she sages her apartment, her house, like every week or whatever. And she was telling me like how white sage is good. So that's what I got. I got white sage, and she was telling me like the process. You burn it and you bring in positivity, negative out, positive vibes in. Like she just told me like everything to do, and basically to put out the sage, the sage goes out on its own. She said, so you just put it down. She said like a piece of metal or something so it doesn't burn anything, and the sage just goes out on its own. So that's something I learned. I still haven't saged my apartment yet, so I'll probably do that probably today or tomorrow. We're sitting on the bench, me, Sachi, and Kier. We're talking, and Sachi goes, is that Nathan from Insecure? And I'm like, and it took me a minute to register what she said, and then I just turned around and like in the direction where she was looking, and it was Nathan from Insecure. I call him Nathan. His name is Kendrick. His real name is Kendrick, but Nathan, that was his character name. So we were like, oh my God, inside we're like, what? Oh my God, he's here. What? So, and he was just, chilling, walking around, having a good time like everybody else. Like he was with his friends, his little crew. We was just chilling. Um, so at first he was there for a good, like, it took us like 20 or 30 minutes to get a picture because we didn't want to go up to him and ask, like, I don't know. It was one of those things where like, we don't want to ask for a picture. So my sister's boyfriend, Calvin, he goes up to Nathan. He was like, he basically tells him like, we want a picture. And so Nathan like looks in our direction. He like waves us over like, come on y'all, we get a picture. So we're like, yay. We walk up to him and he's like, he grabs my phone. He's like, oh yeah, let's do a selfie. Like that's the best way to do it. And takes a selfie. He was so cool. He's so soft spoken. His voice, yeah, like that's how soft spoken he is in the show. That's how he is in real life. Like so soft spoken and cool. But yeah, that was so cool that we met him. And it was just so normal, like celebrity just in the park having fun, enjoying his time. Yeah, so then after me and Kiara got a picture, and then the picture, I looked so exhausted and tired in the picture, but I didn't care because it was with Nathan, so who cares? And then after we got a picture, Sachi had got her picture, and it was fun. He was real cool about it. And then there at the park, it was this tree they called the Tree of Life because the lady was explaining to us like that tree most likely have been around since slavery years, and a lot of blood has shed on that tree, and now people use it as like giving thanks. So she was like, a lot of people come there and just pray, give thanks for just whatever, or if they're having a bad day, they come there and just talk, get their feelings out. Like I said, pray over it, and they put like natural things on the tree to keep the tree going and keep it there. And this tree is huge. So like looking around the tree, you see like little money, you see like coins people put on the tree, water, food, not food, but like natural things like water, nuts and fruit, like oranges and stuff like that. They had it all around the tree. It was so unique, and it was very touching because slavery wasn't that long ago. So it was nice. We got a whole little history lesson there. But yeah, then we left the park and we just did more exploring around. I think we were on, was it called Fremont or Fremont Street? We were walking down and we had saw like Kasachi and Dapo, they did like this tour of like a ghost tour or something like that, and they were showing us like where they took them on the tour, and it was this lady, like she kept slaves in her house and tortured them, and it was crazy. And then they showed us like these houses where the slaves were kept, and it was these small doors where the slaves were going in and out, and it was just so much history there. I'd never really realized how much history was in New Orleans. To end the night off, we went to a seafood place. I got a po' boy, a fish po' boy. I still don't know what kind of fish was on that sandwich, but I did not like it. I don't know if it was the fish. I don't know if it was the sauce that they used. I don't know, but it wasn't good. But I ended up getting some of my sister's gumbo, so that was good. And then my sister and Sachi and them, they all got a boil. I didn't get a boil because sometimes I feel like eating the crab and cracking it and peeling the shrimp and all that stuff, and sometimes I don't. And that time I just was not in the mood to do all that, so that's why I got the po' boy. But now I know I probably should have got the boil. But that was good. So yeah, like that ended off our New Orleans trip. It was so fun. Like definitely 10 out of 10 recommend going to New Orleans if you haven't, and I'm definitely going back. And then Atlanta was our last stop in between the trip, and Atlanta we just slept because we spent so much time in New Orleans, and it was just we were tired. So we got to Atlanta, we just slept pretty much, ate and slept and got back up and finished our road, finished our trip to Virginia, and that was the last of it. So it was so fun. Like I said, that was my first time doing a long trip like that, and my sister even said like this is something that she's gonna do again. Like she was like she wants to get a bus, like an RV, and just rent a couple days, drive somewhere, come back. It was just so fun. And like I said, we were dreading it at first because of the drive, but with the stops in between it made it worth it. So that is the end of my road trip story. I had so much fun. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. We'll be back next week with another one. Thank you so much for listening, y'all. Bye.